Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal, and the Turbulent Timeways event returns for the patch 1107, an event introduced during Dragonflight that spans multiple weeks to help players prepare and catch up before next major seasonal update, which means that the War Within Season 2 content is right on the horizon. This means that with Turbulent Timeways, this is your final chance to catch up big time before new seasonal content is finally here. Turbulent Timeways is a very generous event, allowing players to earn a ton of high-end hero track gear, but also level up some brand new characters extremely quickly, earning brand new mounts, as well as some of the other time walking cosmetics and rewards. So for today's video, I wanted to go over exactly how you can maximize your time during the Turbulent Timeways, catching up all of your characters, obtaining new mounts, but also how Blizzard, I think, just gave us away exactly when the patch 11.1 and Season 2 content will be launching. As always, if you guys want to see more regular updates like these for the War Within expansion, be sure to follow the channel and subscribe. But otherwise, let's dive right in. So with the start of the Turbulent Timeways, not only do we have a bunch of catch-ups that will be available over the next few weeks, but also it seems that the Turbulent Timeways should end, what looks like on the 25th, and might be signaling that is when we'll be getting the patch 11.1 and Season 2 content of the War Within expansion. As in a previous expansion of Dragonflight, the Turbulent Timeways event comes in as a catch-up and it ends right as new major seasonal content begins. So if we follow the same trends here, then Blizzard is essentially giving us exactly when patch 11.1 or even when Season 2 content is going to be arriving. We'll tell exactly if 25th will be the release date or not, but it seems very, very likely as Plunderstorm ends about the same time, Turbulent Timeways ends about the same time. That'll be the best way to release something new for the game. As it says here in the description, Turbulent Timeways is a fantastic event filled with a bunch of catch-ups, specifically when it comes to gear catch-ups. Turbulent Timeways is basically time walking weeks but turned up to an 11, where every single week during the Turbulent event, we're going to have a time walking week rotating. It looks like starting with Mists of Pandaria, but then heading into Warlords of Genera, then into Legion, then back to Cataclysm or Classic, I believe. Yeah, it looks like then it's Classic, then TBC, Wrath of Lich King, Cataclysm, then back to Pandaria, and on and on and on up until the 25th. And during every single one of these time-walking events, the rewards from these events are going to be upscaled. Even though the description says for the limited time during the time-walking quest in Dornogal, players will be rewarded with heroic level cache of Nerubian treasures. So hero track Nerubian raid gear every single week for completing the weekly time walking quest, which offers some of the best and biggest vault-friendly catch-ups for players to take advantage of. But there's even more ways that players will be able to catch up with a bunch of gear during the Turbulent Timeways weeks. Not only can you get catch-up gear from some of the time walking dungeons for a brand new character, but also plus the box, which is the hero track, or potentially if it is the expansions of Burning Crusades, Wrath, and Cataclysm. All of those time walking weeks will come with an additional bonus, specifically the raids of those time walking expansions, like the Black Temple with TBC time walking, Ulduar with Wrath of Lich King time walking, and Firelands with Cataclysm time walking. Each of those raids also come with a quest for defeating the final boss of that instance, which there's so many different skip groups, so you could just join in, kill the boss, and get yourself out of there instantly. Just for defeating the final boss, you get a hero track item of those raid instances. So not only are players going to be able to potentially get some of the most rarest items from all the raid bosses on hero track from the Nuremberg Palace, but even from some of the time-walking raids, players will be able to get powerful trinkets like Madness of the Betrayer on hero track, potentially from the hero boxes. For caster players especially, if you haven't got your hands on a Spy Masters, which hopefully you get from your weekly boxes, you should be on the lookout from Living Flame hero track trinket from Ulduar, which is one of the best items out there, or any of the other items that you could obtain from any of the bosses within the Firelands raid. Also, slaying raid bosses also counts towards that Neurobar heroic cash box as well. So especially during TBC, Wrath, and Cataclysm, you can just jump into the raids to get some of the best catch-up gear, which features champion track pieces from any of the bosses, the raid quest for slaying the final boss, but also all of those kills count towards that weekly box as well. So it makes that whole alt catch-up a lot easier during those weeks specifically. Which means the Turbulent Timeways might be one of the best times for you to catch up on any of your characters that are still lacking gear heading into Season 2. Besides this, we'll also be getting an XP buff during the Turbulent Timeways event, which to some degree is actually a little bit better, depending how they tune it, than the anniversary buff. That's actually going to be a lot more potent. During Dragonflight, we had a buff called Knowledge of the Timeways. Every time you enter and complete a time walking dungeon, you would get a stacking experience buff called Knowledge of the Timeways, which increases your experience gain from killing monsters and completing quests by 5%. And completing a time walking dungeon increases the effect and refreshes the buff's duration, but upon reaching 4 applications, this buff transforms into Mastery of the Timeways, increasing that effect to 30% instead of 20. So you're looking at potentially getting up to 30% more experience gains and reputation gains during the time walking week, or the Turbulent Timeways week, which stacks up with all of the other bonuses, which is slightly more potent than up to 20% that you can have during the anniversary update. So you're actually getting an upgrade in terms of the amount of XP you can get for leveling fresh new alts. And all you have to do is spam time walking dungeons, which are already incredibly good when it comes to leveling new characters. They'll continue to scale with your character no matter what level they are, and you'll be able to spam through those dungeons all the way to max level. And with the time walking weeks rotating from one expansion into the next every single week, at the very least, that experience of grinding out a bunch of alts should be a little bit more fresh and a little bit more varied. So if you still don't have all of the classes that you're hoping to take into Season 2 of War Within, then Turbulent Timeways should be the best time for you to be able to catch up on some brand new characters rather quickly. Also, during the Turbulent Timeways, it'll be your chance to get a timely Busby mount. During Dragonflight, we had the Master of Turbulent Timeways achievement that awarded you a Shale Wing mount, specifically the Sandy Shale Wing, which right now can be bought for just 5,000 Time Warp currency. And it looks like they were able to actually implement this achievement into the game, which was not available over on the PTR. But in order to earn the timely Busby mount, you have to obtain Mastery of the Timeways for 5 weeks during the Turbulent Timeways event. The buff being related to the XP buff from Knowledge of the Timeways that transforms into Mastery of the Timeways, which means that to get the mount, you're gonna have to run 4 time walking dungeons a week for 5 weeks. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a row, but as long as you do it for 5 weeks, then you'll be able to obtain the buff 5 times to get yourself the timely Busby, which gives you even more reasons to level a bunch of alts during the Turbulent Timeways event. And since during Turbulent Timeways every week is a time walking week, this could be your perfect time to catch up on any of the goodies that now exist on the time walking vendors, especially with those vendors getting a complete refresher as of either the patch 11.05 but also partially in patch 11.07. With a vendor refresh, this means that every single time walking vendor has a bunch of new items and cosmetics for you to collect, but also brand new mounts, with the Legion one probably the best one, which is an Urzul Flesh Ripper, which looks exactly like the Argus Mythic mount, but the one you can now purchase from the vendor for Time War badges, and every other expansion has a mount as well. Warlord's General brings with it a Nightfall Skyreaver, which you can get from Warspear or Stormshield depending on your faction. From Miss Pandaria, you can get the Copper Main Quilleen, which you can get from the Timeless Isle vendor. A Broodling of Semestra, which you can get from Stormwind or Ogrimmar from the Cataclysm Time Walking vendor. But also there's classic Wrath and TBC mounts like the Amani Hunting Bear, as well as a variety of other cosmetics that you can collect, from armor sets to weapons to some of the recolors from existing armor sets and weapons from those expansion eras. So during the Turbulent Timeways, if you're someone who is big into getting all of the different collectibles, this would be your best time to get the most out of the time walking vendors, especially if you're trying to finish out all your collections before Season 2 content of the War Within expansion. But as always though, I do want to thank you guys so much for checking out this update, and I do hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did enjoy it or found it informative, go ahead and give it a like. I would very much appreciate it. Also, join our Discord community because patch 11.1 will be hitting PTR apparently sometime later today, so we'll be posting all of the updates of PTR on there as soon as we can. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below regarding Turbulent Timeways, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in the next one.